It begins on a quiet morning at Heartland Ranch. It's the kind where the mountains glow under a pale sunrise and the horses move slow in the pasture. Life seems normal, peaceful. Amy is in the barn brushing Spartan, lost in thought. Lou is at the kitchen table, already buried in her laptop and phone, trying to juggle work and family as always. Everything seems routine, but sometimes tragedy does not warn you before it strikes. Sometimes it walks in silence. Jack steps into the house holding an envelope in his hand, his face pale and unreadable. Lou looks up and senses something is wrong, but she brushes it off at first. Jack has always carried the weight of this family, and she assumes it must be a ranch problem. But when he looks at her not with anger, not with stress, but with heartbreak, her world pauses. Outside, Amy finishes up with Spartan before heading to the house. She notices Jack's truck still running in the yard. Strange. Jack never leaves his truck running. She walks faster. The closer she gets to the house, the more uneasy she feels. Like her body already knows what her mind hasn't yet heard. When Amy steps inside, she finds Lou sitting motionless at the table. Her hands are shaking. Jack stands behind her, eyes full of grief. The envelope is open, and a folded letter lies on the table. At first, no one speaks. Time stretches thin, heavy, like a held breath. Amy looks from Jack to Lou, waiting. Fearing it's Tim, Jack finally says, voice quiet. Amy feels a rush of cold wash through her. What happened? Jack swallows, forcing the words out. There was an accident. A rodeo training camp in Montana. His horse threw him. They tried to save him. Amy shakes her head, not believing. She waits for the rest, the part where Jack says Tim is hurt, but alive, the part where she can breathe again. But that part never comes. He didn't make it, Jack says. The room collapses into silence deeper than words, sharper than screams. Lou lowers her face in her hands and breaks. Amy grabs the back of a chair to steady herself. It feels unreal. Tim wasn't supposed to die. Not like this. Not now. Memories rush through her mind. Tim teaching her to ride. Tim arguing with Jack. Tim trying and failing to be a better father, but always coming back to try again. He was stubborn. He was flawed. But he was her dad. Amy's voice cracks. No, he was getting better. He was changing. Lou lifts her head and meets Amy's eyes. Her tears are angry, not just sad. He promised me he would slow down. He promised he would be careful. Amy steps back, struggling to breathe. Nothing about this makes sense. There were still so many things left unsaid. So many wounds unhealed. So many chances stolen by fate. Asterisk the day after the news. Lou takes control, like she always does. When life falls apart, she builds order. She makes phone calls. She contacts funeral homes. She begins writing an obituary. She tries to hold herself together by planning every detail. It is her way of coping structure over sorrow. But inside, she is breaking. Every time she says Tim's name to someone on the phone, her voice shakes. Amy, on the other hand, disappears into the barn. She keeps herself busy with the horses, fixing things that do not need fixing, brushing coats that are already clean. She does not cry, not yet. She is holding everything in, as if tears would make this too real. Her silence worries Jack, but he lets her be for now. People grieve in their own ways. Later that afternoon, Lou finds Amy in the barn. Dust hangs in the air like a soft fog, and the smell of hay feels strangely comforting. But Lou is not here for comfort. We need to choose a casket, Lou says quietly. Amy freezes. That word cuts deep. Casket. She turns slowly, eyes tired and red, though no tears fall. Already? We don't have time to wait, Lou replies, forcing calm. The funeral director needs an answer today. Amy shakes her head. I can't think about that yet. Lou's voice sharpens. We don't have a choice. People are coming. There are arrangements, travel, paperwork, Amy snaps. He just died, Lou. He just died. And all you care about is planning? Lou steps back like she has been struck. What do you want me to do? Fall apart? Someone has to take care of this. Maybe we should take a moment to breathe. Amy fires back. Lou's frustration boils over. Life doesn't stop because we're hurting. Maybe it should. Amy shouts, voice shaking now. Maybe for him it should. The words echo in the barn. Both sisters go quiet. Amy looks away, hands trembling. Lou looks at her with cold eyes and hurt in her expression, not because of what Amy said, but because she knows Amy is speaking from pain she does not know how to express. Jack walks in just in time to feel the tension. He stops near the doorway, watching them, choosing his words carefully. You two need each other right now, he says, voice steady. Don't make this harder than it already is. But grief is cruel. It twists love into anger and sadness into blame. Amy wipes her hands on her jeans and turns away. Lou crosses her arms, holding in tears she refuses to show. Jack steps forward, trying to bridge the gap between them. This isn't about arrangements, he says softly. This is about saying goodbye. And the truth is, none of us are ready, or is land heavy. Lou lowers her head. Amy finally speaks again, voice quiet. He wasn't supposed to go yet. He was fixing things. He was trying, Jack nods. Then honor that. Show up for him. Both of you. For a long moment, no one moves. Then Amy exhales slowly. She picks up her coat. Fine, I'll go to town. We'll pick the casket together. Lou nods once. Not forgiveness. Not peace. Just a fragile truce. As they walk out of the barn, Jack watches them go with worried eyes. He knows this funeral is not just about Tim. It will force open old wounds. It will test this family like never before. And if they are not careful, they may lose more than just Tim. They might lose each other. Asterisk. The day of the funeral arrives cold and still, as if even the wind is holding its breath. A low gray sky hangs above the foothills, and a thin layer of frost lies over the fields near Heartland. Everything feels frozen in time, quiet, heavy. The service is held at a small country chapel just outside Hudson. It is simple, the way Tim would have wanted. No polished glamour, no big display, just family, friends, and the sound of horses snorting in the distance. Outside, trucks and trailers line the dirt road. Cowboys who once rode alongside Tim stand near the fence, hats in hand, faces carved in silence. Inside the chapel, the air is thick with grief. A dark wooden casket rests at the front, draped with Tim's old rodeo jacket. His saddle sits beside it, worn and dusty from years of use. Amy cannot look at it for long. The saddle reminds her too much of him, his stubborn pride, his fearless spirit, the way he could never walk away from a challenge. Lou sits in the front row, holding Katie's hand. Her face is pale and tired, but she keeps her chin lifted. She believes she must be strong for the family, even if the weight of it feels too heavy to carry. Amy sits beside her, hands clenched tightly together. She has barely spoken since they arrived. The silence between her and Lou still lingers, unspoken but sharp. Jack steps up to the podium to speak first. His voice carries through the chapel like gravel over stone, rough, honest, and full of history. Tim wasn't perfect, begins. He didn't always make the right choices. Sometimes he made things harder than they needed to be. A small, broken smile flickers on Jack's face, but he showed up. Every time. When it mattered most, he was there. For his family, for his daughters, for Heartland. People nod, some wiping their eyes. Memories drift through the room like passing shadows. Jack glances at Amy and Lou before continuing. He fought his demons, and sometimes they got the best of him. But he never stopped trying to be better. That's who Tim Fleming was, the man who never stopped trying. Jack steps back, and the silence that follows feels endless. Lou stands next. Her breath shakes as she unfolds a piece of paper. But halfway through, she sets it aside, choosing honesty over prepared words. My dad was not easy to love, she says. He pushed people away. He made mistakes. Mistakes that hurt. Her voice cracks, but she keeps going. But he also tried to make things right. And I want to remember him for that. For his effort. for his heart, for the way he never gave up on us. Even when we gave up on him. She wipes her eyes and looks at Amy, a small olive branch. Then comes the hardest moment, the one everyone has been waiting for, but no one is ready to hear. Amy rises slowly and walks to the front. She stands there for a moment, her eyes on the casket. When she begins to speak, her voice is soft, almost breaking. My dad taught me to ride. He taught me how to be brave. He taught me that falling isn't the end. It's just another chance to get back up. She pauses. But what he didn't teach me was how to live without him. Hush falls over the room. I wasn't ready to say goodbye, she continues. I thought we had more time. I thought we would fix everything. But maybe that's the truth about life. We don't get time. We get moments. And I wish I had more of them with him. Tears slip from her eyes at last. She doesn't wipe them away. She lets them fall, raw and real. With a shaking breath, she looks at the people gathered. He was my dad, and I loved him. I hope he knew that. No one moves. No one speaks. It is the purest stillness grief shared by all. But outside the chapel, the wind begins to stir, as if carrying the message of a man who left too soon but loved with everything he had. Lou and Amy stand together, greeting friends and neighbors. Their words are polite, but their hearts are somewhere far away. Jack stays close, steady as always, a silent anchor for the family. The funeral may be over, but the hardest part of grief is what comes next. What happens after everyone goes home and the world expects you to return to normal, just when it seems the day is coming to a close? Clint, an old friend who once worked with Tim at rodeo youth programs, approaches Jack. His expression is uneasy. As if he has been holding on to something he isn't sure how to say, Clint begins, pulling an envelope from his coat. Tim asked me to give this to you, if anything ever happened to him. Jack looks at the envelope, stunned. It is sealed. Tim's name scribbled across the front in rough handwriting. For a long moment, Jack does not move. He doesn't want this. He doesn't want a final message from Tim because that means accepting he's really gone. What is it? Amy asks, stepping forward. Clint shakes his head. I don't know. He just said it was important. Said it wasn't for anyone else to see until, well. Now, Jack takes the envelope, staring at it like it might shatter in his hands. Lou watches, tense. Amy gently places her hand on Jack's arm. You should open it. Jack nods once and carefully breaks the seal. Inside is a handwritten letter and a small folded document. Jack begins to read, his eyes moving slowly over the words. With every line, his face changes sadness, regret, then something else. Confusion, worry. What does it say? Lou asks. Jack doesn't answer right away. He reads the letter again, as if trying to make sense of it. Then he looks up at Amy and Lou, voice unsteady. It's from Tim, he says softly. But this isn't just a goodbye. Amy feels her chest tighten. Then what is it? Jack holds out the letter. He left us something, and he wants us to find it. Lou frowns. Find what? Jack opens the folded document. It is a land dida legal paper, stamped and signed. But the name on the deed makes everyone freeze. Why does Dad have a deed to land in Montana? Lou asks. Jack shakes his head. He bought it months ago. Amy steps closer, reading over Jack's shoulder. But why didn't he tell us? Jack holds up the last page of the letter. There are only 5 words written there, underlined twice in Tim's handwriting. The truth is out there. Silence stretches between them. A cold breeze cuts through the open chapel doors. The truth about what? Amy whispers. Before Jack can answer, Caleb walks in, face pale. He looks straight at Amy. You all need to come outside, he says. Now. Something in his voice chills the room. Jack folds the letter and slips it into his pocket. Amy and Lou exchange a worried glance before following. Caleb out the door. What they see waiting outside is something none of them expecto. Man leaning against a truck near the road. A stranger. Watching them. Waiting. When he lifts his head, the shock hits Amy and Lou like a storm. Jack's jaw tightens. Caleb finally speaks. He says, he knew Tim. And just like that, Tim's death is no longer just tragedy, it becomes a mystery. A mystery that could change everything the Heartland family thought they knew. Asterisk. The cold wind sweeps across the parking lot outside the chapel as Amy, Lou, Jack, and Caleb step toward the mysterious stranger. He doesn't move, doesn't speak. He just watches them with a calm, unreadable expression. He is tall, maybe in his late 40s, dressed in worn jeans and a dark jacket. The kind of man you might see at a rodeo or a ranch, rough around the edges, but controlled. There is something familiar about him, but none of them can place it. Jack is the first to speak. "You knew Tim?" His tone is steady, but there's a warning underneath it. Jack protects his family like a wolf protects its den. The stranger nods once. "Yeah, I knew him." Amy steps forward, eyes searching his face. "Who are you?" He hesitates a moment before answering. "Name's Cole Turner." The name hangs in the air, but it means nothing to anyone. Lou glances at Amy, confused. Caleb watches carefully, his body tense beside them. Jack narrows his eyes. "Never heard of you?" Cole gives a slow nod. "You wouldn't have. Tim wanted it that way." Amy stiffens. "Why?" He takes a breath and looks at the mountains, like he's deciding how much to say. When he finally speaks, his voice carries a quiet storm. "Tim and I worked together years ago, long before he came back to Heartland. Back when he was still trying to figure out who he was." Lou crosses her arms. "So what does that have to do with now? Why show up today, of all days?" Cole looks at her, and for the first time his expression softens. "Because he asked me to." Jack frowns. "He asked you to come here? When?" Cole glances back at his truck, the weight of the answer heavy on his shoulders. "A few months ago. He said if anything ever happened to him, I'd know when to come, and I'd know what to bring." Amy's heart sinks. "What do you mean, bring?" Cole reaches into his jacket and pulls out a small leather notebook, worn and weathered from years of use. He holds it out, but not to Jack, not to Lou. He offers it directly to Amy. "This belongs to you," says. Amy hesitates, then slowly takes it from his hand. The second her fingers touch the leather, she knows. This was Tim's. She recognizes the feel of it, like the lasso rope he used to hold while teaching her to ride. She opens it carefully. Inside are pages filled with Tim's handwriting, notes, dates, names, places, secrets. Her voice shakes. "What is this?" Cole watches her, unreadable. "The truth." Jack steps in, voice sharp. "Truth about what?" Cole doesn't blink. "About why Tim bought that land. About who he really was. About what he was trying to protect." Lou frowns, confused. Protect from what? Or who? Cole studies the family for a moment, then says something that makes all of them freeze. "He didn't tell you, did he?" Amy looks up slowly. "Tell us what?" Cole's voice drops. Tim wasn't planning to retire. He wasn't slowing down. He was preparing for something. Something big. Something dangerous. The air tightens around them. A quiet fear settles in Amy's stomach, heavy and cold. Jack steps closer. "What are you saying?" Cole meets his gaze. "I'm saying Tim didn't just die in an accident." He pauses. "I'm saying I'm not sure it was an accident at all." The wind hits harder now, but no one moves. The funeral is over, but their story with Tim is not. And as Amy clutches the notebook to her chest, she understands one thing clearly. This is only the beginning. Asterisk. Amy sits alone in the loft above the barn, holding the notebook Cole gave her. She has been staring at it for nearly an hour, afraid to open it. Her hands are cold, her mind racing. Why did her dad keep something like this from her? What was he involved in? What was he trying to protect? Outside, the wind rattles the barn doors. Night has fallen over the ranch, and only a single lamp lights the loft. It feels like she is standing on the edge of something she cannot see yet, but can feel. Something big. Finally, she takes a breath and opens the notebook. The first page is simple. It isn't a journal entry or a list. It is just one line written in Tim's rough handwriting. "If you're reading this, it means I ran out of time. Amy's chest tightens. She turns the page. The next section is a mix of short messages, thoughts, regrets, fragments of a man who never shared enough of himself. I should have told you the truth sooner. This isn't about me. It's about keeping my family safe. Trust Jack. He'll know what to do. She flips through more pages. Some are filled with names people she doesn't recognize. Some are scribbled with directions, dates, phone numbers. Then she sees something that makes her stop. Montana safe site. 14 Ridge Creek Road. Safe site. Safe from what? Her heartbeat quickens. She glances toward the barn window, half expecting someone to be watching her. Everything about this feels wrong. This doesn't sound like the Tim she knew. This sounds like someone preparing for a fight. The next page is torn, edges ripped. Only part of the message remains. If anything happens to me, don't. The rest is missing. Amy flips faster now. Near the middle of the notebook, she finds a page that shocks her. A photo. It is old and faded, tucked between the pages. The picture shows Tim standing next to a younger version of Cole Turner. They are on a dusty ranch somewhere, wearing cowboy hats and smiling like brothers. But that isn't what grabs Amy's attention. The real shock is the person standing between them. Girl not much older than 15. Brown hair tied back, a horse behind her. She doesn't look familiar, but the caption under the photo sends a chill down Amy's spine. Keep her safe. She doesn't know. Amy stares at the picture, frozen. Who is the girl? And what doesn't she know? Her mind spins. Was this girl someone Tim was helping? Protecting? Was this why he bought the land in Montana? Why he kept secrets? Why he wrote a letter and hid a notebook? She doesn't hear footsteps coming up the ladder until someone speaks behind her. Amy? She jumps, slamming the notebook shut. Lou stands there, watching her. What are you doing up here? Lou asks gently. Amy hesitates. She wants to tell Lou everything, but something makes her stop. Maybe fear. Maybe instinct. Maybe the fact that she still doesn't trust the stranger who appeared at the funeral. Maybe she isn't even sure she trusts the truth yet. I'm just thinking, Amy says. Lou walks closer. About Dad? Amy nods, keeping the notebook close. Lou sits beside her. For a moment, they are silent. You ever feel like we didn't really know him? Lou asks. Amy looks at her. She knows Lou isn't talking about secrets. She is talking about regrets, missed chances, old pain. Yeah, Amy says softly. All the time. Lou sighs and places a hand over Amy's. Whatever comes next, we handle it together. Promise me that.